Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to another episode of the Delaware Fightin Blue Hens Dynasty here on EA Sports College Football 26. In the last episode we went through the Year 2 offseason where this team looks a lot different in large part because of the transfer portal. We lost a lot of guys to the portal, but we also gained a lot as well. And we'll see how this team is set up going into year number 3 as we preview the squad here today. So if you're excited for this one, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more Dynasty mode content. So today we'll go through each position and take a look at what to expect of this team going forward. We will not look at recruits today. We'll look at that later in the season. I do got to set that up. And this year we actually will look at the recruiting during the season, unlike last year. But let's take a look at the team. We come into this year as a 64 overall, back to a 1-star program. And that's big because we were able to go after some 3 stars in the transfer portal and then also in recruiting this year because of that. And those 3 stars in the portal are who's going to lead the way essentially for us. Starting off with the new quarterback at the helm, Darryl Cole, the redshirt sophomore who comes over from South Carolina last year. Did not play for the Gamecocks, but as a hometown kid for Coach Rob, this is a big get. A dual threat quarterback. He did play 1 snap with the Kent State Golden Flashes back in 2025, so he's in his 3rd school in 3 years, and he's going to be tasked with holding the keys to the Delaware offense. Now in the backfield with him will be another transfer from Texas State, Tyrone Browning, the junior, who I'm excited to get because, as you can see on this play, he's going to be in the backfield. He's also going to play some in the slot. Browning's a guy who can do both, and with our thinness at wide receiver, thanks to the portal losses, we might flex Browning out there a couple times, so we'll see what he brings. 5'9", 191, a perfect gadget player for the offense. Now when he flips out to the slot, we do also have Daniel McConomy, the junior, who is listed as an impact player for us this year. Carried the ball 105 times last year for 417 yards and 3 touchdowns, added 2 more to the air. He's one of the more experienced guys, if not the most experienced guy in this offensive room. Wide receiver, we are a little thin, but one of the biggest surprises of the offseason was the emergence of sophomore Larry Gash, who only had 2 catches last year for 17 yards, but he went up about 13 points in the training results, so he's going to be the true number 1, a 3-star from Vineland High School in New Jersey back in the year 1 class with star development. We are going to rely on him heavily for the rest of his tenure with the Blue Hens. The other spot is a little bit more open and a little bit more unknown. Right now we have Neville Dean out there, the senior, who comes over from Kennesaw State. 19 catches, 263 yards, and a touchdown last year. But this receiver room is a little thin, and we need a guy like Dean to step up and give another target for Darryl Cole. At tight end, we lost Jake Burdell, our top offensive player, to the portal. He is now gone, and in his place will be Noah Vitko, who was with the team last year. Caught the ball 10 times for 52 yards, but he's more of a blocking tight end. So I'm not sure if we're going to get that stretch tight end like we've had at the past couple of seasons. The offensive line is also a little bit of question marks here, specifically with depth. At left tackle, there's Zach Vaughn, the sophomore, who I do have some confidence in. He's been with the team a little bit. He's not the guy I'm worried about on this offensive line. It's the depth. We don't have a lot of depth behind the starters, even at left guard. I mean, right now we have Trevod Luck listed out there. Came over from Coastal last year in the portal. Started all 12 games for the Chanticleers. But because of our lack of depth, he might move to center. He might have to go play right guard, even maybe right tackle. Who knows? But I know Trevard Luck is going to be one of the guys that we rely on this year. At center, there is right now listed Dion Dotson. But I also don't want to forget about Raphael Favorite, who could potentially play some as well. Dotson is the top-rated center on our team, but I'm not sure if he's really ready to start right away. We'll see how the sophomore compares, a 2-star redshirt sophomore. 286, though, he is a big boy, so we'll have to see how he does, maybe in that first game of the season. Right guard, the only guy who returns on this offensive line starting last year is Anthony Cassis, the senior, who started all 13 games for the Blue Hens last year, gave up 5 sacks. He was probably one of the weaker players on that offensive line last year, and now he's going to have to be the strength because he's the only returning lineman of the 5. Perhaps the biggest question mark, though, is at right tackle. The redshirt freshman Earl Miller comes over from Southern Miss in the portal, started 1 game for them last year, but he is by far the lowest rated lineman, and we're going to have to rely on him because he's going to be at a tackle spot. We got to keep Cole clean, and hopefully Earl Miller can overachieve this season. On the defensive line, I feel a little bit more confident in this group. We got Tariq Stanley in the portal from Boston College, was a big get, had 3 sacks last year for the Eagles, and I think he can be a game changer for this team if he continues that progress to the Group of 5 level. Also played at Maryland back in 2025, so Power 4 experience now coming to the Group of 5. The interior's a little bit more up in the air. There's Eamon Smalls from James Madison this past year, stealing him away from a rival. He had 1 sack with the Dukes back in 2025, played for the Blazers, had 24 tackles. There's also Dalton Dotson, who I'm probably more excited for up the middle. The sophomore, who was a 3-star also in that year 1 recruiting cycle, one of the only 2 3-stars from Smyrna High School, had 3 sacks last year. Hopefully he can increase that number this year. The linebacker group is a lot different. Jameel McAllister, though, steps in to try to fill that void. The senior Virginia Cavalier transfer who had 2 sacks for the Cavs last year. We went heavy on the power forward transfers to play at the Group of 5 level because I feel like that experience could help translate to a smaller school environment. The returning linebacker of this group is Alexander Cobbs, the junior, who played more towards the line of scrimmage last year. Might have to play more of a cover role this year. At 6'3", 226 as a lurker, hopefully he can lay the boom and propel the middle that's now missing Gavin Mole due to graduation. The strength of this team, though, I do believe is the cornerback room. Khalil Ali returns, and he's really emerged as one of the top corners in this conference, a junior this year who's listed as an impact player. Had 1 interception last year, but did a good job at locking down one side of the field. He didn't get beat deep very often. Now, the other side of the field, there's also Zion Armstead, who comes back from last year's group, a redshirt sophomore now. We got him 2 off seasons ago from the Iowa Hawkeyes. He's pretty solid, and I do believe Ali and Armstead could be the top cornerback duo in this conference. So we'll have to see if they can live up to that billing. And then even the nickel, we got Kingsley Royal, arguably the highest volume tackler of this team. He had 114 last year, 123 the year before. Got moved to the slot last year, and he played exceptionally well, so he'll actually play there full-time this season. And I do believe Ali, Armstead, and Royal could be a really good trio that could help taking some of the softness off of the inexperience in the line. Just play man covers on the outside and load up the box. At the safety position, there's Nate Spack, who's going to have to step in for the graduation of DeMarco Johnson. He had 11 tackles last year, a senior this year, got a little bit of experience, and he is more of a coverage specialist, so I'm hoping we can stick him as that center field safety. We do play a 3-3-5, so we do need 3 safeties, and we also went out and got from James Madison, Jacoby Smith, who had 67 tackles last year for the Dukes and an interception, and I do believe that kind of experience will translate well to this team. And there's also Quincy Winston, a sophomore as well, who we got from Boston College in the transfer portal. Like I said, a lot of transfers this year. Now, Winston is going to be that third safety on the team. He plays a little bit more towards the box, could also play on some nickel packages, but I like what we got in the secondary. As terms of the specialists, we do have a new kicker. Cassius is still here, but after a shaky freshman campaign, we might turn to another freshman. Walter Lipton from Greenwood, South Carolina joins the team. He will be the starting kicker to begin the year, but if he does struggle, there is Eric Cassius behind him, but he only kicked 75% last year. As far as the punter, there's a couple of punters on roster as well, but Brock Glass does return from last year. He is a senior. I thought he did pretty decent as a punter, so he will get the chance, and the job is his unless he struggles as a punter this season. So that does it for the Blue Hens, arguably the best team in the conference as well. If you take a look at some of the other ratings, Florida International was the top team last year, but they took quite a hit. They're all the way down to a 57 overall now. Jacksonville State, the other team that made the Conference USA Championship game, there is 61 overall. I do believe they'll be towards the top of the conference again. Our sister or brother team in the Missouri State Bears are also up next, and I do believe they're a step below us. But Missouri State did beat us this year, and that's something we haven't forgot about. They have a solid offense, just depends if their defense can play up to the billing. The team that might threaten us this year, though, is New Mexico State. The Aggies look pretty solid. They're a 65 overall, 66 on offense, 64 on defense. So I think that's the team that we have to look out for. The Delaware Blue Hens and the New Mexico State Aggies could be the 2 teams at the top of the running. We also, remember, went down to 8 conference games, so one of these teams we will not play. Liberty's up next. They were okay last year. Not sure if they got the bump needed, but I do believe Liberty, if they continue their trend, could be a good team in a couple of seasons. Kennesaw State, I expect them towards the bottom of the conference. Not much here for the Owls. It's been a tough transition for them to the FBS level. Middle Tennessee, the same thing. I don't think this is the year for the Blue Raiders, but I think in a couple of seasons from now, they could be the top team in the conference. They had a really good recruiting class in year one. It might take a couple of years if those players stay to get to the top level. Then we get into the bottom two teams. Sam Houston, a 0-star program. Don't expect much out of the Bearcats this year. And then Western Kentucky only won one game last year, so I don't really expect much out of them as well. So in all honesty, this could be the conference for the Blue Hens to lose. As far as the rest of the college football landscape, here's a look at your top 25. Georgia's number one. The team I'm looking out for this year is Alabama. They have 99s across the board for overall offense and defense. So this is the year for maybe the Crimson Tide to get a national title in the Kalen DeBoer era. Now, next episode, we will get into week number 0 and stuff, but here's the Heisman watch for this year. Nico Iamaleava, Lenore Sellers, and Austin Mack all return to school this year, and that three-headed quarterback trio should be at the top of a lot of Heisman watch this season. There's also wide receiver Micah Hudson at Texas Tech and halfback Caden Durham of LSU. But that's going to do it for this one. Next episode, I will also show you the schedule in the next episode. Sorry, I forgot to do that in this one, but we do start with an FCS program. So we might go through 3 weeks of college football action in next week's episode. So I hope you guys are ready for that and you're ready for year number 3. If you are, make sure you drop that like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more Dynasty mode content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.